Audible? Yes, thank you. Uh, so good afternoon to everyone. I'm happy to be here. I missed the last conference. I was probably away. And so my field actually is cold chain, and sandwich panel is something that is the heart of cold chain, so to say. Other than the refrigeration system, this is something that really works well. So, having spoken to Ajay, what kind of crowd we are going to have, I kind of realized that there's going to be a lot of talk on just panels. So, my talk, I will do a little bit of cold chain as well, so that we introduce a little bit of cold chain, and I put more stress on sustainable cold chain along with this, because just talking on panels would not. It'll be adding to the same stuff. So, can I get the presentation on? Or 1 second, it's here. Okay. So, yeah, just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Harshal Surange and a cold chain consultant. I've been working in this field for close to 25 years now, and I've been working in India as well as abroad as a cold chain consultant. So yeah, how we going to go about this is a quick round on cold chain, sandwich panels relevant, and sustainability. So the cold chain, what cold chain really does is it's amongst the biggest buzzwords. We are talking of food loss and food security, which is what is going to be a big thing over the next few years, because as we move ahead, farming is reducing and consumption is growing. So what are we going to have? We're going to need to store things. I have to acknowledge Dr. Elhadi for allowing me to use this slide. This is the fresh produce pipeline. Of course, I'm not going to take too much time on this, but basically, if you realize what is produced and what is consumed, there's a lot of pilferage, a lot of wastage that goes on in various forms. And that's where the cold chain really comes into picture, right? It's the safe, hygienic, and refrigeration assisted method in which food moves from farm to the consumer. In India, it's fairly well established in most cases, milk, meat. But where we really see the big game changer for India is, I think, in the fruits and vegetable sector, because that is where we have a lot of potential. We have a lot of growth. We are amongst the top 3 in the world in terms of production. So food processing and storage is where the big game changer is going to be for India. When we talk of cold chain, we don't talk of just one chain, we talk of multiple chains, right? Now, considering the fact that I don't have too much time left, I'm going to run through this. You have this, which is the basic cold storage, like a potato cold storage, which is the first line. You have the second one, which is a pack house, where you have fresh produce coming in. It gets pre-cooled, and then it is stored. So it's basically meant for fresh product, which has moisture content. The third one is the CA store, where you're storing products for very long duration. You're not just controlling temperature and humidity, you're controlling the oxygen as well as CO2 content. You're reducing oxygen to close to 1.5 to 2%, and you're increasing the CO2 to close to 3%. So the product goes into hibernation. Then comes the line which is your freezing, where you have IQFs, you have blast freezers, and you're quickly bringing the temperature to minus 18 and then storing it. You have pre-frozen, and then you have the air-conditioned and ventilated store, where you're basically looking at products like tobacco or chocolates, which need cooling but not very heavy cooling. Some pictures of cold storages, cold chain facilities. You see that is the bulk store, this is the palletized store. Obviously, all of these use sandwich panels, pre-cooling, pack houses. Considering paucity of time, obviously we are not going to talk about all of these. That incidentally is a hot water treatment plant, incidentally done by Siva's company, right here. This one is of course by Lloyd again. So a lot of companies here have actually done a lot of the work out here. You have the AC and ventilated store and the distribution center where actually all of this comes together at one place, the entire gamut what we saw being there, and finally it goes to the final market. And there we have your repaired pipeline, and then you have a fairly happy consumer who was quite unhappy at the beginning. So broadly, that's a quick introduction to cold chain. Now, if you see why sandwich panels become so important in this refrigeration and cold chain industry, first point is very critical, that they work 24/7. You know, your refrigeration system actually does not necessarily work 24 hours, but your panel works 24 hours. It works even when that system is off. In fact, it's the most important thing when the refrigeration system is off. It forms a significant portion of the total value of a cold chain project, right? So that's again a very important point. The greatest portion of saving in a cold chain facility can be with the use of proper panels with the right installation scheme. Now, when I say proper, there is a lot that goes into it, other than just the thickness and the sheets and everything, like lots of things. And this point is very important, right? A good panel with a bad installation team is worse than a bad panel with a good installation team, right? This is one of the key points everyone here should understand. You know, don't just go for, "Arey, ye kitna badhiya panel hai." No, please make sure that your installation team has got the proper understanding of a lot of things. What are things that you want to look out for? Of course, there are 100 things. I've just brought out key things which came to my mind as a cold chain person. Ensure that panel sheeting is of required thickness and has the required finishing, right? I do not want to get into details of that. There are lots of people here. Installation team is proper. Panel cuts are avoided. When I say panel cuts, I actually mean that if you're able to give a through and through panel without any crossings, that is where there's going to be a big difference. Use pressure relief ports considering chamber size and temperature. This is something which is many times ignored or not understood at all, because there's a pressure variation when cold and warm happens. So you need these ports to adjust the pressure. And ensure that doors have the right specs and frames. Again, often ignored point, where you need the right frame, you make sure that you have the right frame. Sustainability in cold chain. This, of course, before I get into actual sustainability, this is very, very random, right? I've particularly mentioned the word random. The reason why I'm putting this here is, before I go into sustainability in cold chain, we must understand that other than panels in the refrigeration system, it's very easy to have a low cost system with a higher power consumption. And that's what I want to really show here. That I've considered a very quick example, a simple logic of 21 kilowatt refrigeration capacity and 4 degrees C room temperature. This is the base. This is what you're going to get at the end of your project. But with a base consideration, right? I mean, a well-designed consideration, you're going to get 20.9 kilowatt and 9.95 kilowatt power input. You increase the condensing temperature, you're getting the same 20.8 kilowatt, but now 11.4 kilowatt as power. And with evaporation temperature reduced and condensing increased, you're getting 12.6. Remember, you're still having a 4 degrees C room and a 21 kilowatt refrigeration system. And your power consumption is practically 25 to 30% more. This is just, fooling around with 2 parameters. There are so many other parameters which you can play around with to make sure. So this is just something that, many times there are key points that you have as takeaways on a presentation. This is something that I wanted to show everyone, though it is not connected to panels. So here we come to the sustainability element, where we've been looking at sustainable cold chain in general, not just with panels. What happens is with green buildings, we are talking of only human comfort. But with a cold chain facility, we are talking of product comfort, the product which is staying inside there. And that varies very significantly. So you have apple, which is comfortable at say 0 degrees and 90 to 95% RH. You have pomegranates, which are comfortable at 5 degrees and high humidity. You have raisins, which are comfortable at 8 degrees and low humidity. So every product will have a different temperature, different humidity requirement. And based on that, you have to realize that the comfort is different. So creating a rule, generic rule for all products being comfortable at sustainable levels is the difficult part. So that's why a lot of points have been put up here. And all of these points are in some way related to the core design scheme. So I'm not going to go too much into detail because, again, as I said, of course, we have lunch coming up. So I'd like to finish before time. Layout, right? Building design, efficient thermal insulation, this is just one part. Refrigeration system, waste heat recovery systems. You can get free hot water from any refrigeration system, be it HVAC or refrigeration. Please remember that this is free hot water. Heat that you're anyways throwing out to the world, we can simply reuse it to generate hot water. Energy efficient lighting, natural lights as much as possible, natural ventilation, noise control, fire safety, we've talked a lot about fire, use of renewable energy, minimum water consumption, rainwater harvesting, then of course all these accessories where, and operational practices for a green character. To the next level is where we really look at is towards net zero. We want to have a position where our cold stores are actually running off grid. And there are certain examples at pilot level which are actually working that way, where you see you have panels, and these are live examples, of course. These are solar cold stores, of course. In fact, you people had tried. You still have it, yeah. Great. And this is another one which is working on biomass. So any kind of waste heat that is coming from paddy waste, you can have any kind of waste which can be burnt, anything that can be burnt. In fact, now it has come to a point where you can even use waste pellets, pellets made out of waste, actual garbage. They create pellets out of that and use that as fuel for this. And it's working, and they've made sure that the smoke that comes out is also treated and is not harmful to the environment. So this is something that is what we're moving towards. Thank you. That's what I had. I'm 2 minutes before time. Thank you. If there are any questions, of course, you could have that, and maybe I can hand over to the organizers. Thank you. Do we have any questions? We have 2 minutes, if anyone wants. They need a mic, yes.
Harshal, fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Have you done any analysis? See, today, when we fight for, say, positive temperatures, we limit ourselves to 80 mm, 100 mm. Freezers, we limit to 120. Have you given approach of increasing the insulation thickness, looking into energy conservation and rest of it, carbon emissions and all? Because the capital cost involved there is very less. Because anyway you are going to use a good panel.
Yes.
And is there any such example? Because I remember you showed a photo from Savla.
Yes.
We had done that that time with Vivek ji. And it's still working very well. So can you throw any light on this?
So what we have seen is that there is, you can always increase insulation and get better performance, but that has a limit up to how much you can actually go to. So for 0 degrees temperature, I would say approximately 120 is where your buck stops. I mean, if you from 120 to 150, the cost increase and the energy consumption, that is not going to give you
Efficient
that.
thickness of insulation.
Pardon?
Critical thickness or efficient. What?
Yes. And I'm sure sir here is in the best position to give more information on that. But yes, increasing insulation, like he very rightly said, is going to give you a reduced power consumption. It's an initial cost increase, but a reduction in the life cycle cost, and that should be taken as a rule. But it doesn't go on endlessly. It has to. There is a golden mean which has to be reached, and that's where you stop. Because beyond that, if you increase the thickness, you're not really going to get tremendous benefit. Thank you, sir.
I'm sure you've gone through a lot of meetings with clients. One of the biggest things that I see in the market is a bad strategic planning by clients. You and I can design anything according to, just about layout given to us or whatever. But the thing is, most of the people seem to forget that there is a strategic planning which is most important to start with. We have seen many cases in which, people have asked us to put up a normal, positive temperature cold store. And they want to upgrade it to a frozen cold store tomorrow because, they haven't done their market analysis.
Correct.
And then at that given time, you and I have gone through hell to upgrade existing, should we say, store to a frozen cold store.
Yeah.
This particular part of it, I don't know where this particular, should we say, input has to be. Strategic planning well in time in regard to what the end use is going to be for a cold store.
That's the most, I would say that's where your first decision making process needs that core input always. I mean, either you have to be in the market and know exactly what you want.
Exactly.
Or if you're a person who is not in the market, it is very critical that you put that money and get a market feasibility report done, right? Spend that. It's a little bit of money. Maybe sometimes it's a couple of lakhs, sometimes it's 10, 12 lakhs. But that initial money spending on getting the right inputs from market is most critical. In fact, today morning as I was coming here, one of our clients had called, and that's exactly what discussion I told him, that you are new to this market, right? I might tell you something, another person might tell you something. Get a piece of paper with some genuine ground research done, and only then take a decision as to exactly what you're going to do. So that is most critical and has to be
really true of distribution centers.
Pardon?
Distribution centers, people have to take a decision in regard to commodities that they're going to store, and quantities they want to store, and so that you and I can arrive at the optimum temperature. And
Yes.
I see quite a lot of gap in that particular.
Yes, because a lot of decisions are taken on just hearsay. It's not really taken on genuine data and analysis. Somebody says कि अरे ये तो बहुत अच्छा फील्ड है, इसमें कर लो, तो निकल पड़े. That's really not how it should be done, frankly. Anyway, I think we are done with our time. Thank you.